Welcome to the Private Practice Survival Guide podcast with your host, Brandon Seigel. I'm a published author, speaker, entrepreneur, and private practice strategist dedicated to transforming the way that healthcare functions. This podcast is all about empowering you to create the change you want to see. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the Private Practice Survival Guide podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Seigel. In this quick tip solo episode, we're talking about building your employer brand on a budget. How do we build our brand? How do we stand out? And so the best candidates have choices. They're not just evaluating your salary range. They're evaluating your culture, your leadership, your purpose. This is going to help owners understand how to build a compelling employment brand without a large marketing budget. And I think that that is so crucial. So one of the things I'll share with you is that yesterday I had this interview. And I interviewed a candidate who got pulled out of 300 resumes. This candidate was very honest with me. She was like, look, Brandon, I'm going to be honest. I've made the money before. I've been in those companies where I am a top compensated employee. I'm coming to you not for compensation. I'm coming to you for learning, development, and what your brand represents. She said, you are clear in how you define your values. You are clear in how you define your vision, and you are clear on what you want. How you describe your role, how you describe everyone that is the muck in the water that you don't want, makes me want to work for you. The way that you call out transparently that 90% of our workforce is lazy and garbage, I want a piece of what you represent. I've worked since I was 14. I align with your story and I want to be part of that. That's what we're trying to do. Now, again, my methodology for my brand is create the most polarizing brand. So 95% of people say, I would never work for that guy if you gave me $1 million. Because the person that wants to work for me wants to work for me authentically. Transaction is what hides fit. Transformation is what attracts long-term relationships. Plain and simple. So what is this employer brand and why does it matter? Very transparently, your employer brand is not what you say about yourself. It is what your current staff, recent applicants, and the broader community believe it actually feels like to work for you. So people will look at Glassdoor and they will look at that. And I do take those things into perspective, but I also want to be transparent that there are people that just want to tear down our reputation. So we can't just rely on those external, but how people share their experience, how you open the door for others. So recently I had someone in one of our clinical practices. She wasn't going to do an observation interview, didn't need to, but I said, I want you just to talk to an employee of mine so you hear. And I connected her with this employee that's been with me for a while. My employees are never incentivized. I actually tell them, I'm like, I'd rather you scare them than attract them, because if you sell them with sugar, when spice comes, they're going to run away. Anyway, this employee actually said, after having that conversation with this employee, makes me want to work for your organization more. She said, I saw raw. I didn't see sugar coated. I saw raw and I want some of that. And so we average over 8.5 years of employment retention. And I think that comes down to how few people we hire. How much we go for fit. I would rather go broke with one person than have 50 people failing my vision. I would rather less than more. Now, every coach out there is going to disagree and say, Brandon's not making you the $1 million. You know what? Forget them. They're focused on selling you their baloney. The American dream is not just about money. It's about change and impact. Stop focusing on every dollar of profit, slow growth, hire the right people, and be willing to sacrifice money for integrity. Plain and simple. So your brand, what is that perceived culture? What is that leadership reputation? What does growth look like? How do you define it? And how do you create transparency and authenticity? For me, I stand behind my people. I give them the reality. I give them the trust. Every employee has the opportunity to have a seat at the table. A team's voice is greater than the owner's voice. Bring your voice, bring your action, bring your change, bring your intention. Is your intention to make us better or make yourself better? Let's make us better. How do we build that together? And so I need you to clarify your mission and your value proposition. I need you to understand that you need to deliver an under-promise, over-deliver effect. And so candidates, especially newer clinicians, want to know why they should choose you. You need to be clear, authentic, and you need to have that identity. You need to know what your employer value proposition is. Is that mentorship? Is that flexibility? Is that impact and belonging? What are the things that are going to help that? You need to use social proof to build trust. Candidates will research before they apply. What they find or fail to find shapes their decision. You do not need a large marketing budget for this. I want you, even something as simple as this, do a bunch of videos of employees and ask them to be straight, transparent, authentic if they're willing to. And say, I'm trying to create the reality show of what it's like to work in our organization without dramatizing things. So I want you to share what you hate most about this job. I want you to share the ugliest thing about this job. I want you to share what drives you to stay in this job and what would drive you to leave this job. And starting to share these videos and having that social proof and inviting people into that. Even this idea of explaining your employee process in your job ad and having peer-to-peer feedback where candidates can get feedback from different employees and having group interviews and things like that. This is really important. The other thing that you want to show is you want to show how you celebrate and acknowledge people. What does that look like? What does the love language of your organization look like? How do we celebrate anniversaries and certifications and clinical achievements? What does staff recognition look like? And is it visible? Behind the scenes, authenticity outperforms polished marketing every day of the week. Patient impact stories, having patients talk about things, having patients share what they like and don't like, having staff testimonials. These are all things that don't cost a lot of money and they can build your employer brand like nobody's business. And I want to be clear. When we build an employer brand, we're not just marketing to future staff, we're marketing to future patients. This is how we align fit in our role in the world. Plain and simple. The next thing I want you to do is I want you to elevate the candidate experience. And so what that candidate experience is going to either attract or repel. So for me, responsiveness is one of my core values. On my application, I ask, what can I expect and how do I get quick response? Those people will tell me how to get quick response. But the reality is every action has a reaction and every non-action has a reaction. So I want 48 hours response time from people. I respond fast. What they do and how they show does translate to things. And so, acknowledge every application within 24 hours. There's no reason not to. That passes the test, so to speak. Top candidates are interviewing for multiple places. You want to jump on them. You want to respect their time and you want to communicate clearly. Speed, clarity, and respect cost nothing. They're often exactly what strong candidates look for. For me, the way that my employer brand stands out is our first contact is transparency. How they respond to that transparency drives everything. And so we want to build a consistent online presence. Candidates are actively researching you online. A consistent, authentic presence across key digital channels can significantly boost your employer brand without needing a massive marketing budget. So having professional LinkedIn, behind the scenes, responsive to reviews, dedicated career pages, all things that matter. People are going to talk crap. That's just what it is. The hope is that the people you attract can read between the lines. The best reviews are the reviews that are authentic. So when you get a 1-star review, that's not authentic, that's angry. When you get a 5-star review, that's a celebration, that's an acknowledgement. sometimes as much as it hurts, a 4-star of like, hey, these are the things that didn't work for me, that actually means the most to your potential candidates. They want to see constructive feedback. And so just being able to have a space for them to see constructive feedback will help them measure fit. The next thing that's really important is that we create a staff referral program. We want our ideal staff to refer staff because they're more likely to be a fit. Your current staff are the most effective recruiters. They understand your culture. They know what it takes to succeed. They can reach high quality candidates who might not be actively looking. So a formal program can incentivize the organic networking. So define your incentives, simplify submissions, set clear rules, and celebrate success. So here's the bottom line with the numbers. Data clearly shows tangible benefits. Companies with a strong employer brand see a 50% increase in applications from top-tier talent. We're seeing the vast majority of candidates investigate a company's reputation before even considering applying. 75% of job seekers are researching. We're finding employee referral programs drastically cut down time to hire and streamlining recruitment, in which 45% faster hiring via referrals, 25% higher retention via referrals, and 30% mission-aligned candidates. A clear mission statement attracts candidates who resonate with your values, leading to better cultural fit. So, culture is your employer brand. You can't manufacture it with a logo or a tagline. It's what your team says about you when you're not in the room. So for smaller private practices, it means unique culture is the most powerful asset. You know, it's the authentic employee experience, not a marketing campaign, that will attract and retain those who want to be connected to you. And so common mistakes that you're making: generic job listings, ignoring negative reviews, poor candidate communication, no onboarding plan, one-time project mentality. And so we need to be building beyond that, doing review management, doing job posting in different ways, building your pond of people, creating education for the community, social media, and really just optimizing what candidates actually feel, what they see. A lot of candidates want flexible scheduling. They want that work-life separation is what I want to call it. Clear career growth pathways. They want clinical supervision. They want learning. They want development. They want mission-driven culture. And they want competitive but transparent compensation. And so we need to get into some of these things. And so what I want you to do is I want you first and foremost, after this podcast, Google your practice name and reviews. What are candidates seeing? Rewrite one existing job posting to include your practice's unique mission, culture, values, moving beyond the duties. Ask one current staff member what they'd honestly tell a friend about working at your practice. Get to that. And so in this next 30 days, you're going to develop a structured onboarding plan that reflects your values. You're going to create a dedicated careers page on your website showcasing stories, benefits, videos, etc. You're going to design a consistent social media content plan to highlight workplace culture. You're going to establish a process for regular check-ins, feedback sessions, etc. You're going to identify, empower internal cultural ambassadors to champion your brand. All things that can do. And through this, you're going to be able to clarify your mission, your value proposition, use social proof to build trust, elevate your candidate experience, build your online presence through real stories, and create a staff referral program to change the way you stand out. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Private Practice Survival Guide podcast. Don't forget, like us, subscribe, share us with those you want, write a review, because together we can thrive, not just survive. Thank you for tuning in to the Private Practice Survival Guide podcast. I'm incredibly grateful to each and every one of you. Exciting news. We're now available everywhere, from Spotify to Apple Podcasts to YouTube or anywhere you like to listen to your podcasts. So watch, listen, and reach out. If you love this episode, please drop a 5-star review. It truly means the world to me. Are you looking for more ways to elevate your practice? If so, now is your chance. Reach out, go to my website, or email me at brandon@wellnessworksmp.com. And remember, it's not just about surviving, it's about thriving.